You want to make 4 sections on the head. I've already sectioned 2 sections in the front here. I took my front sections to just behind the ear. Now I'll move on to the back sections. And for the back, you want to just part right down the middle of the hair. Now rather than pulling all of this hair up and clipping it out of the way, I'm going to make a horizontal section across the bottom and leave about 2 finger widths of hair out. Now, as you can see, we've left some hair out by making a horizontal section across each side. It's about 2 finger widths. This is going to be our starting point, but another reason we leave some hair out is in case the client decides to wear their hair up, this hair down at the bottom will help to cover up the microlink rings. Now we're going to get started on our first row. Now we're going to start on our first row. Take the microlink ring, place it onto the needle pulling hook. Want to pick up a small strand of hair with the needle pulling hook. Gently pull it through the microlink ring. And push the microlink ring up until it's about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch away from the scalp. Take the tip of your hair strand and place it in through the ring against the natural hair. And take your plier clamping tool and gently clamp. I usually do this twice just to make sure that it's secure. Show you another one. Take your microlink ring, place it onto the needle pulling hook. Use the hook end and pick up a small strand of hair. Gently pull it through the ring. Push the ring up near the scalp. Take the tip of your extension strand, place it into the ring, and clamp with your plier clamping tool. I'll continue on until I've completed the first row. Now I've completed the first row. I place my strands directly next to each other. I've left hair at the hairline. This hair at the hairline will also help to cover up the microlink rings. Now I'm going to section for the second row. Make a small horizontal section. Now, as you can see, my section here is a little bit thin because I'll be adding a lot of microlink rings for a lot of volume and a lot of length. Now, if I'm adding hair only for highlights or a little bit of extra volume and not so much length, I can make my horizontal sections a little bit wider. Now we'll move on to placing our microlink rings on the second row. Now I've completed the second row, placing my strands directly next to each other. I did place my strands so that they do not lay right directly on top of the one beneath it. You want to make sure that you move the strand that you're working with over just a little bit so that it eliminates any stringiness of the hair and creates a lot of volume. Now we're going to section for our third row. I'm going to section as if I'm just adding for highlights, so I can make my section a little bit wider. And then we'll continue on. And I'm going to add the microlink rings and the hair strands across this section, leaving a little bit of room in between each strand, as if I'm adding hair strands for highlights or just a little bit of volume. Now I'm going to be starting on the third row. Take the microlink ring and place it onto the needle pulling hook. Pick up a small strand of hair, pull it through the microlink ring. Now I'm still leaving some hair here out at the hairline. That's going to help cover up the microlink rings. Place the tip into the microlink ring and clamp down with the plier clamping tool. Now because I'm adding hair only for highlights or a little bit of extra volume, I'm going to skip spaces. Now I'll continue working across this row until it's complete. Now I've completed the third row. I left a little bit of hair in between each strand because this hair here that I've added was only for highlights or a little bit of extra volume or for low lights. I did leave a little hair at the hairline. This hair is to help cover up the microlink rings so that they won't show. Now that I've completed the third row, on the fourth row, I'm going to show you how to apply weft hair using microlink rings. I've cut a small piece of weft hair. I'm going to clip it in place where I want it to be on the natural hair. This is very temporary and will not last through a shampoo. It's very similar to the clip-in hair extensions, so you'll have to remove them before shampooing the hair. Take the needle pulling hook. I go underneath the weft hair and pick up a natural hair strand mixed with the weft hair strand. Then I move the needle pulling hook over just a little bit and again pick up a natural hair strand mixed with the weft hair strand. And I place a 4.00 millimeter microlink ring onto the needle pulling hook. I'm going to use the needle pulling hook to pick up both hair strands and pull them both through the ring. You want to make sure that you get all the hair pulled through. And the ring should be compacted with hair so that when you clamp it, it clamp securely in place. It has something to clamp to. Push the microlink ring up against the weft as close to the seam as possible. Use the plier clamping tools and clamp into place. Take the needle pulling hook, go underneath the weft, pull out a strand of weft mixed with natural hair. Move the needle pulling hook over just slightly, go underneath the weft, so I have 2 strands, both containing natural hair with the weft hair. Place a microlink ring onto the needle pulling hook. And pull both strands through the microlink ring. Push the microlink ring up against the seam, as close as you can get it to the scalp, and clamp with the plier clamping tool. This weft will stay secure. It won't slip out, it won't go anywhere, but you will have to remove before shampooing. I'm going to continue across this 4th row until complete. I've completed the 4th row using the weft hair pieces. This is temporary. It may last for up to 48 hours without shampooing the hair. This will have to be removed before shampooing the hair, or all of these microlink rings will slip out. I'm going to start on the 5th row. I'm using copper link tubes. Place the copper link tube onto the needle pulling hook. Lift a small strand of hair. Pull it through the tube. Place the pre-tipped hair strand and put the tip into the tube. You want to clamp down at least 3 times. Clamp down a little bit more, you want to cover the whole length of the tip. Copper tubes are a little bit longer. Again, I've left a little bit of hair here at the hairline out. It's going to help cover up the links. Now I'll continue working across the 5th row. Now I've completed the 5th row using copper microlink tubes. Next we're going to section for the 6th row, and in the 6th row we're going to be using silicone micro rings. I'm going to section for the 6th row. Just going to take the tail end of the comb, make a horizontal section across the back of the head. And pin the remaining hair up and out of the way. Now, rather than just sectioning the back of the head, I'll also be sectioning here on the side. Because now we're going to be taking our microlink rings all the way to the front. I want to section just above the ear. Now in this section we'll be using silicone microlink rings. I've completed sectioning for the 6th row. I'm going to apply silicone line microlink rings. I start about a finger width away from the hairline. Just pick up a small strand of hair. As I pull it through the ring, I put the ring up against the scalp. Place the hair tip into the ring. And clamp with the plier clamping tool. Now I'll continue working all the way across the 6th row to the other side at the temple area where I'll leave hair out again to cover up the microlink rings later. Now I've completed the 6th row. As you can see, I've placed the strands directly next to each other. I've worked from one side of the head at the temple area all the way around to the other side, leaving just a little bit of hair at the hairline to cover up the microlinks. Now I'm going to continue with sectioning for our next row. Now for my next row, I'm going to continue sectioning. Now as you can see, I'm starting to section since I'm getting to the top of the head in a horseshoe pattern. Once I'm finished with this row, I will not be placing any more strands up here on the crown of the head. If I place strands up here on the crown, they will show. Now I'm going to continue with this row all the way across on either side of the head, and then once complete with my row, I'll continue by making a section on each side here about an inch away from the part line, and then that will be it and our application will be complete. Hairstylists, we're always trying to think of creative new ways to add hair extensions to our clients' hair. One of the things that I like to do to get a mixed hair color strand and also a bigger hair color strand is to take two different hair color strands, and I use a fusion iron and melt the tip together. You hold the fusion iron on the tips for 3 to 5 seconds. Once they melt, I wait until it's cool to the touch. I just roll the tip with my thumb and forefinger back and forth until it just forms one single tip. And I use a 4.50 millimeter microlink ring. Pull the natural hair through the ring. Insert the tip. And clamp with my plier clamping tool. This is also a great way to add more volume to the hair without weighing it down too much. Now I'll continue completely across the head, across this row until complete. You can see I've completed the 7th row. I've used a 4.50 millimeter regular microlink ring. I've used my fusion iron to fuse the tips together of 2 separate hair extension strands. At Lengthy Locks, we offer 0.75 grams per strand. By fusing the 2 tips together, I was able to create a strand that is 1.5 grams per strand, which is a little thicker, offering more volume per strand, and it's also a great way to mix colors for your clients. Now I'm going to continue sectioning the top of the head. Now I've sectioned for adding microlink rings to the front side of the head. I'll be working my way upward on the head until we get to within 1 inch of the part line on the head. I did leave the hair at the crown alone. You need this hair to cover up the microlink rings on the back of the head. I'll continue on until I've completed to the top of the head. Now I've continued adding microlink rings all the way up to within a 1/2 inch from the part line, and this concludes our application. Now we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you how to remove the microlink rings. Now as you can see, I've started removing the microlink rings. The way to remove, you want to twist the strand a half turn and gently clamp on the ring until it's back into an open position and slide it right off of the hair. Once in a while you'll come across a stubborn one. If that's the case, by gently clamping on the rings over and over again, it will loosen the ring up and cause it to break apart, at which time you'll be able to remove the ring very easily. And that's it. That's how we remove the microlink rings.